What is up, everyone? Welcome back to another video today. And in this video, we are at Cedar Rapids, Eastern Iowa Airport for the 15th airport update for the month of October 2025. We got a couple of different changes here for this month's update, along with some nice solid frequencies all throughout. Let's go ahead and get started with the update as we swing on down to gate number 1, where we have another appearance for the Allegiant Max, which is always great to see, and I'm noticing that Cedar Rapids is getting them more almost as often as they do with the A320s now. And there's also a new registration number that we have here, as you'll note on the graphic. This flight arriving in is flight 986 from St. Petersburg, operated on November 820 November Victor, so we're finally getting into the 820 range. This arrived in at 9:19 a.m., 9 minutes early. Then right next to that, our only American plane in this section. Finally have an aircraft on the other side of the existing facility here. So we check out gate 2, this American Eagle CRJ 900, operating another DFW turn, so the PSA one still kind of cycling through there, if you will. And this ride in is flight 5474 at 1:07 p.m., also 9 minutes early. Let's skip over 3, 4, and 6 today as we jump straight over to gate 8. It's been a little while since I've had any sort of usage with this particular gate. You also get a look there at the United section, which is pretty full this month. So for gate 8, this United Express Embraer 175 arrived in from Denver as flight 5671, SkyWest service, at 5:02 p.m., 32 minutes early. And then a full Evo Blue lineup for the main line. We have the 700 and the 800 this month. We've had the Max 8 the last couple of months here, so get a bit of a change of pace with the main line. This smaller aircraft is from Chicago O'Hare. Very short turn there, arriving in as flight 1923 at 9:43 p.m., 10 minutes late. The larger 800 right next to that, arriving in from Denver today as flight 1241, bit of a midday service, arriving in at 1:28 p.m., which is 22 minutes early. And then the Delta from Atlanta, no changes there for the 738, arriving in as flight 2626, and this arrived in at 10:30 p.m., 4 minutes early. And then finally, for a bit of a change of pace here, as we have some aircraft on the upper end of the terminal. American parking at gate 9 today, and then Delta over at gate 11. So we'll start off with the Delta pulling into the gate after arriving in from Minneapolis. This CRJ 900 arrived in as flight 4863, an Endeavor service, and this arrived in at 11:54 a.m., 9 minutes late. And then right next to that is the American Eagle aircraft at gate 9 today. A bit of an interesting position, since typically it's usually like 1, 2, and 3 would be American's gates. But it looks like for at least this particular flight, they had to put it up at 9, likely due to a lack of space down there. But for this American Eagle aircraft, this arrived in from Phoenix, this flight 4195, an Envoy service, arriving in at 11:30 p.m., 29 minutes early. That's all the aircraft we have at the terminal, always looking solid as ever. And then a taxiing aircraft for the first time in a while in these updates. We have a mainline aircraft finally. I think, it's been a little while since I've had any sort of mainline representation in these airport updates. But we have the A320 on the Charlotte service today, arriving in as flight 3009 at 5:32 p.m., 22 minutes early. So that is going to do it for Cedar Rapids this month, and I'll just leave it here on this perspective since I think it looks pretty cool and I haven't really tried it out yet, at least during the route roundup segments. So as we're moving in towards the winter, we'll definitely see a bit of an uptick in Allegiant services down to more warmer places, but we'll check out some of the other services. Delta from Minneapolis, no major changes there with 3 daily CRJ 900s. Swing on over to that Delta from Portland. That's November 9th, a one-off there, likely for an Oregon football game because they're based out of Eugene, so that's the next closest major airport, I'd suppose. And then for Denver, we didn't have Frontier in this update, but they are 4 weekly through the rest of October, and they'll add a couple extra frequencies around the Thanksgiving holiday. And then United from here, that will be 2 mainline, and then they will Actually drop one of the main lines down to an A319, and then they'll have an Embraer 175 as a third frequency on some certain days. Allegiant from Vegas will be about 2 weekly. They're going to drop it down to that heading into November, and that will be primarily on the Airbuses. Los Angeles, there's a couple services there on the 14th and the 16th on Delta Airlines, both on the A319. Maybe a UCLA game then. And then from Phoenix, Sky Harbor, we had the Embraer 175 in the service, but they do have an A319 on it. Looks like on select days they'll have it back to a second 175, but otherwise you'll see some A319s there. And then they're going to switch to CRJ 700s in November. Phoenix Mesa, 4 weekly. Sunday, Tuesday, Thursday, and Saturday is what they're going for, and then they'll add a couple extra frequencies on Thanksgiving. And then from DFW, 4 daily. There's 1 CRJ 900 frequency in there. They'll drop to 3 daily heading into November, and that frequency being dropped will be one of the 175s. So they'll have some mainline on there as well, so that will be pretty nice. Heading over to Nashville on Allegiant, that service is going to end this month. October 27th is the last day. That will be a Monday. And then the Atlanta service, which I talked about, no major changes there. Swinging on down to Allegiant, we have Orlando Sanford, which is primarily on a couple of the MAX 8s there. 3 weekly on Monday, Wednesday, Friday. Fort Lauderdale starting up November 21st. That'll be on the MAX 8. And then for American from Miami, that's Saturday only. They'll start up November 8th with the 175. Punta Gorda, 2 weekly, Wednesday and Saturday. Bit of an interesting frequency there. But again, they'll do some more around Thanksgiving. Sarasota Bradenton starts up December 18th. And then St. Pete going through the winter season. That'll be a Sunday, Thursday service. And then we have Charlotte on the 2 main line. Once again, 1 A319 and then 1 A320 like you see there. Washington Reagan, a daily Embraer 175. Philadelphia coming to a close this month. They have 1 A319 on October 19th. And then for Detroit, a couple one-offs there again. And actually, that Philly might be a one-off there now that I think about it, because that does not look normal, that A319 there, flight 3105. But then you have a couple of one-offs from Detroit, the 21st and the 23rd. Of November. Both are on the CRJ 900s. So, that will do it for Cedar Rapids this month. Update 15 already, so we are moving quickly through this series. With that being said, thanks for watching, and I will catch you in the next video.